Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the confusing world of corporate filings with a smirk and a wink. Today we are diving into Wrap Technologies Inc.'s latest report, and let me tell you there are some interesting moves happening behind the scenes. Before we jump in, if you love getting straight to the point insights from these endless corporate documents, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and we've got a fantastic community discussing these very filings over on our Discord. It is linked right down there in the description. So Wrap Technologies Inc. has just dropped a Form 8K, a current report detailing some pretty significant events. Think of this as the company's way of saying, hey everyone, something important just happened, and you need to know about it. This report comes to us from the US Securities and Exchange Commission. They are basically the watchdogs of Wall Street, making sure companies play by the rules and tell investors what they need to know. This specific form, the 8K, is for reporting material events that shareholders should be aware of right away. It is not like their usual quarterly or annual reports, which are more like a big deep dive. The 8K is for breaking news. Alright, so who is Wrap Technologies Inc.? For those not intimately familiar, they are a company whose stock trades under the ticker symbol WRAP on the NASDAQ capital market. They are incorporated in Delaware, which is a common state for businesses, and this is their commission file number, an IAS identification number, just the basic stuff you'd expect at the top of such a filing. Their principal executive offices are located in Miami, Florida. Now, sometimes companies use these filings for other communications too, like if they are putting out special announcements or materials related to sales. Wrap Technologies Inc. is not checking any of those boxes here, meaning this 8 is purely for reporting the material events we're about to discuss. The company's common stock is registered and traded on the NASDAQ capital market under the ticker WRAP. This is key for investors trying to track the company's performance. They have not checked the box indicating they are an emerging growth company. This means they are not opting for certain regulatory leniencies. This section is interesting. It points to a material modification to the rights of security holders, but it tells us to look at item 5.03 for the details, which is pretty common in these reports. They are basically saying, refer to this other section for the juicy bits on how your shareholder rights might have changed. Item 5.02 usually deals with changes in leadership like directors leaving or new executives coming on board, or even changes to how executives are paid. However, in this filing it is rerouting us again to item 5.07, which is where the important shareholder meeting results are detailed. This tells us that any leadership or compensation changes discussed here were already voted on by the shareholders. So the big news here is about their annual shareholder meeting held on the 12th of December 2025. They approved an amendment to their 2017 equity compensation plan. What does that mean in simple terms? Well, they increased the number of company shares that can be given as rewards to employees and executives by a whopping 4 million shares. This brings the total available for these kinds of awards up to 20,500,000 shares. This is a pretty clear signal that the company plans to use stock as a way to attract and retain talent, maybe a strategy to incentivize performance. If you want all the nitty-gritty details on this plan amendment, they are pointing us back to their proxy statement filed back on the 17th of November. It is like a detailed brochure about what was discussed and approved at the meeting. Now let's look at item 5.03. This section deals with changes to the company's core governing documents, the articles of incorporation and bylaws. It also covers changes to their fiscal year. And here is another big one from the annual meeting. Shareholders approved an amendment to the company's charter. What is the charter? It is like the company's constitution. They've increased the total number of shares of common stock the company is allowed to create from 150 million to 200 million. That is a 50 million share increase. This is often done to give the company more flexibility for future fundraising expansion or stock-based compensation. This increase in authorized shares was officially filed with the state of Delaware on the 17th of December 2025, so it is now a done deal on paper. This next section, item 5.07, is where we get the actual results from that shareholder meeting. This is where the rubber meets the road to see what shareholders actually agreed to. So as we mentioned, the annual meeting took place on the 12th of December 2025. At that time, there were over 51 million shares of common stock out in the market, each with one vote. And a quorum was present, meaning enough shareholders showed up either in person or by giving someone else permission to vote their shares that they could legally make decisions. Over 30 million votes were represented. And here is the headline, folks. All proposals that were put to a vote were approved by the stockholders. This indicates pretty strong agreement among the shareholders on the company's proposed actions. The first thing they voted on was the election of 6 directors to the board. These directors will serve until next year's annual meeting. Table TRTD Scott Cohen, TD TD 164452 4120 TD 1735 7673D TD 119 59767 TD TR TRTD Bruce T Bernstein TD TD 1677043, Die TD TD 1410572 TD, TD 11959767 CD TR TD, Mark Sarvis Die D TD 163863, 3720D TD 1794671, 40D TD 11959, 76720D TD Rajiv Srinivasan 20D TD 16,860,520 TD 21,321,003 TD 119597, 6720D TD Vice Admiral Tim Szymanski TD 16,8598825 TD 1321926 Thigh TD 11, 9597667 TD TD John D. Shulman's Hoodie TD 16836299720 TD 134 471140 TD 119 5976720 TD 2020 table. Looking at the voting for the directors, we see significant support for all of them. Take Scott Cohen for example, he received over 16 million votes in favour. Bruce Bernstein also got strong backing with over 16.7 million votes. The numbers for most of the directors are quite close, indicating a consensus on the leadership team. The broker non-votes are interesting, a number of these shares where the broker didn't receive instructions from the owner. Next up was the ratification of HTL International LLC as their independent auditors for the upcoming fiscal year. Table TRTD for Sign TD against TD Abstain TD TD 28941925 TD 372,218 DD 826,632 on TD 40 table. This also passed with overwhelming approval. Nearly 29 million votes were cast in favour of keeping HTL International LLC. Only a little over 370,000 voted against. This suggests the company's financial oversight is seen as sound by its shareholders. This is the big one we mentioned earlier, the charter amendment to increase authorised shares. Table TRTD for Tabi TD against Tabi TD Abstain Tabi TD Tabi 984337 Tabi TD 35593 69 Tabi TD 597,069 Habi D Tabi Table, and it passed with a significant majority of almost 26 million votes in favour. While over 3.5 million voted against this proposal, it was clearly approved by the shareholders. This again points to the company wanting more room to maneuver financially. Proposal 4 is quite technical. It is about approving the issuance of shares related to Series B convertible preferred stock and warrants. This is important because it is tied to a private placement offering and needs to comply with NASDAQ listing rules. Essentially, they are getting shareholder approval for shares that could be issued if these preferred stocks or warrants are converted or exercised. Table TRTD for TDD against UMD TD Abstain 40 TD Broker. Non-votes CD TD 15,540,801 TD 2034052 TD 606,055 FFDD TD 119599767 TD 40. Table, this proposal also passed, but with a smaller margin than the previous ones, 15.5 million votes for versus about 2 million against. This is a more contentious issue amongst shareholders than approving directors or auditors. This is the proposal we touched on earlier regarding the increase in shares available for the equity compensation plan. Table TRTD for TD against Dine TD Abstain TD Broker Non. Votes Sadi TRTD 15259539 Fiddy TD 2887911 TD 33,558 Sadi TD 11959976730 TD Twinefoot Table. This also passed with over 15 million votes in favour. Again, not as overwhelmingly popular as the director elections, but still a clear win. It shows shareholders are comfortable with the company granting more stock options and awards. Proposal 6 is a big one for many investors. It is an approval for a potential reverse stock split. This means they could consolidate existing shares into fewer shares with a higher price. Per S-Hair, the ratio could be anywhere from 1 new share for every 2 old shares to 1 new share for every 10 old shares. The board will decide the final ratio. Table TRTD for 4TD against TD Abstain TD 245459 2330 TD 549809 to TD 96660 TD 40 table. This proposal also passed with a large majority, over 24 million votes in favour. A reverse stock split is often done to boost the stock price to meet exchange listing requirements, or to make the stock appear more attractive to institutional investors. It is a significant strategic move. Finally, Proposal 7 was an approval to adjourn the meeting if needed. This is a standard procedural item allowing management to extend the voting period if they feel they need more time to get votes on certain proposals. Table TRTD for TDTD against 20DTD. Abstain 20TRTRTD. 1616851 20D TD 53645 9720D TD 159,327 27 20D 20. Table this also passed overwhelmingly indicating shareholder trust in management to handle the meeting process. This last part, item 9.01, lists the exhibits attached to the report, which are essentially the official documents supporting what has been stated. We see filings for amendments to their incorporation documents and their equity compensation plan. Exhibit 3.1 is the formal certificate for the amendment to their certificate of incorporation. Exhibit 10.1 is the 6th amendment to their equity compensation plan. And Exhibit 104 is the interactive data file for the cover page itself. And finally, the report is signed by Scott Cohen, the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of the Board, indicating the company is officially filing this report on the 17th of December 2025. So what is the story here? Wrap Technologies Inc. has successfully navigated its annual shareholder meeting with all key proposals receiving approval. The most impactful decisions are the increase in authorized shares and the potential for a reverse stock split. These moves suggest the company is preparing for growth, perhaps seeking to attract larger investments or to improve its stock's market perception. The increased shares available for compensation also signal a focus on motivating their team, while the approval for share issuances related to convertible preferred stock and warrants shows some shareholder concern that was still passed. Overall, the company appears to be taking proactive steps to position itself for the future and has the backing of its shareholders for these key strategic initiatives. Alright, that is our breakdown of Wrap Technologies Inc. Its latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think the reverse stock split is a good move or a sign of trouble? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.